Hi, today we are going to learn about considerations in bioavailability study design. So as a part of this thing, I am starting a series of lectures which is related to bioavailability and bioequivalence. This is the part 2. So in this part we are going to see about what are the considerations in the design of bioavailability studies. What are the things we need to consider while conducting the bioavailability studies. So in part 1 we saw what is bioavailability, what are the different types of bioavailability. Now we will see what are the considerations for the conduction of studies for bioavailability. Now as a part of this, so while you consider considerations, I can write like this. I'll just list it out here. So as per the study design, you have main thing. If you take study design like this, we have two considerations, that is which type of bioavailability study you need to conduct, absolute or relative. And the second considerations, design of study considerations is DS means design of study. Okay, consider second type of considerations is whether you need to conduct single dose study or you need to conduct multiple dose study. So this then the third considerations is patient related, and the last one is what are the methods to determine bioavailability. Methods to determine bioavailability. Okay. So these are the considerations. So considerations I will be dividing in 1, 2, 3 and 4 parts. First part is absolute, which type of study you need to conduct related to bioavailability. That first one is absolute and relative bioavailability. Second one consideration is either you need to conduct single dose study or multiple dose study. Third considerations is related to patient. The fourth considerations is methods to determine bioavailability. What are the different methods we have to determine the bioavailability? So we will see the considerations in the bioavailability study design in these 4 parts. So the first part already I explained in last part of my previous video. You go and check there about what is absolute bioavailability and what is relative bioavailability. Okay, now we will see about single dose versus multiple dose studies. So this is the topic today. This part absolute and relative bioavailability I already explained in previous part. Please go and check that. So here for single dose and multiple dose study. What do you mean by single dose study? We will be giving only one dose to the patient. Multiple dose we will be giving multiple dose to the patients. So we will see what is the use and why we conduct single dose. In which case do you go for the single dose study and which case do you go for the multiple dose study. So in the single dose here, the dose to be administered for bioavailability study is determined from clinical experiments. Obviously you don't know what is the dose to be administered, means if the drug is new, what is the dose calculations, everything will be done, not calculations, exactly what is the dose to be administered to the patient is being calculated or it's been obtained from the preclinical or clinical studies. So through conducting clinical studies you will come to know, okay, this is the dose of the drug. Then single dose bioavailability studies are very common. Okay, they are easy, offer less exposure to drug and are less tedious. Obviously we are giving only one dose and checking the blood plasma concentration. But if you come, but the problem here is the steady state characteristics. Means if you want to know what is the steady state characteristics of a drug, to study the steady state characteristics you can't get that information through single dose study. Okay, to get steady state you need to give multiple dose, then only you will go to the steady state achievement. So what is the steady state and everything, I have my previous videos regarding this, you can go and check that. Okay, So to know the characteristics of steady state, you can't able to do that character, or you can't able to evaluate those characteristics of steady state in single dose bioavailability studies. But in other hand, multiple dose bioavailability studies will offer you to study the characteristics of the drug during multi steady state and characteristics of the drug during steady state. And the problem with multiple dose study is there will be more exposure of drug to the patient. So single dose you are going to give only one drug, one dose, but in the multiple drug you are going to do multiple doses, and due to this there will be more exposure of drug to patient, will be exposed to more amount of drug. So there will be a problem. Okay, poor subject compliance. This is also one problem. We have poor subject compliance because his exposure is more, and also it is tedious and time consuming process. Okay, so what is the advantage of multiple dose study compared to the single dose study? We'll try to see this. So you can conduct, study design, you can design the bioavailability study either in single dose or in multiple dose, but we will see what is the advantage of single dose studies, and also we will see what is the advantage of multiple dose study. So come to the advantage of multiple dose study. More accurately reflects the manner in which drug should be used. Obviously you are not going to use only one drug for any ailment. You will be using the same drug in many doses, twice a day, thrice a day, or chronically you will be using. So because you are using many doses in a 1 day or in 2 days or in a prescribed dosage regimen, if you go for the multiple dose study, bioavailability study, multiple dose bioavailability study, it will reflect, see here, it will reflect the manner in which drug should be taken. So it is almost similar. What you are going to take in the normal life and what are the study we are going to study will be almost similar. That's what this point is saying. Next is easy to predict the peak and valley characteristics. Why? See, I will show you one thing. Peak, this is the peak characteristics and this is the valley characteristics. So it is easy to study the peak and valley characteristics if you are giving the drug in multiple dose. See here, I have given 1 dose, second dose, third dose, 4, so on. So here you are going to get the steady state. Okay, so it is easy to study the peak and valley characteristics. That's what this point is saying, to determine the steady state. Then requires collection of fewer blood samples. Okay, then the drug blood levels are higher due to, obviously after collecting the plasma from the patient, blood from the patient, will separate the plasma and will try to check the amount of drug present in the plasma. If you give only one dose, the amount of drug present in the plasma will be very, very less. If you give multiple dose, the amount of drug present in the plasma is high, hence you can use less sensitive analytical instruments because the amount of drug present in the plasma is high. The analytical instrument, if at all it is less sensitive, you can use that also. But if you give the single dose, because the concentration is very, very low, after some time it is difficult to measure those concentrations with less sensitive analytical equipment. You need to go for more sensitive method. That's what this point is saying. Next is it can be ethically performed on patients because therapeutic benefit, it is a therapeutic benefit to the patient. So multiple dose study can be performed ethically because why it is ethically good? Because already that patient is having some particular disease and you are giving same drug to the treatment of those disease. Hence two problems will be solved at a time. What is the one problem is you are conducting bioavailability study. Second problem is for that patient you are giving the drug which he need to take for that particular disease. So ethically it is good. Next, small inter-subject variability. So inter means between the patients. So between the patient, if you give only single dose, there will be full variations. If you give multiple dose and you try to attain the steady state, there will be nullification of variations between the patients, that is inter-subject variability. Then better evaluations here, better evaluation of the performance of controlled release formulations is possible. If you want to go for the evaluation of controlled release formulation, about its performance, how that controlled release formulation is performing, for that you need to go for multiple dose studies. Next, remember it is one GPAT question here, that is to know the good performance of controlled release dosage form, which type of study design to be conducted in bioavailability, single or multiple. So remember it is multiple. The non-linearity in pharmacokinetics, if present, can be easily detected. If at all there is no linearity, non-linearity, if present in the pharmacokinetic parameters of the drug, it can't be detected by single dose study. It can be detected by only multiple dose study. So again, one GPAT question, non-linearity of a pharmacokinetic parameter can be detected in which type of study design, that is multiple dose study design. Then at last, in multiple dose study, one must ensure that steady state has been reached. So you need to ensure that in multiple dose study. Why you are conducting multiple dose study? See here, just wait. Yeah, see this is multiple dose study. Why you are doing one dose, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? See, you are doing 6 doses here. Okay, in third or fourth dose, it start attaining steady state. To attain the steady state, we are giving multiple dose study. We are conducting multiple dose study. So what this point is saying, in multiple dose study, one must ensure that steady state has been reached. You should ensure that steady state has been reached. For this, drug should be administered for 5 to 6 elimination half-life before collecting the blood sample. So to attain the steady state, if you are conducting multiple dose study, to attain the steady state, you should ensure the attainment of steady state. For that, you should start collecting the blood sample only when the drug is administered 5 to 6 elimination half-life. Let's say its half-life is some particular drug, some X drug is there. Let's say the half-life of that drug is 1 hour. 5 to 6 half-life means at 5 hour or 6 hour you need to start collecting your blood sample. Okay, that's what he is saying, 5th hour or 6th hour. So what this point is saying, you need to attain the steady state. For this, the drug should be administered 5 to 6 elimination half-life before collecting the blood sample. So drug should be administered till the 5 to 6 half-life eliminations. Okay, for 5 to 6 half-life eliminations. That's what this point is saying. Remember this, 5 to 6 half-life eliminations. Then other considerations for the study design is human volunteer, healthy subject versus patient. Okay, see, in the study design, first part is absolute bioavailability, relative bioavailability. Second part is single dose study, multiple dose study. Third part is human volunteers. Okay, so we are seeing here human volunteers. In that we will see what are we classify this study as healthy volunteers and patients. What is that? Ideally, the bioavailability studies should be carried out in patients. So for bioavailability studies, you need to carry out those bioavailability studies in patients. Okay, for whom the drug is intended to be used because of apparent advantages. We have advantages if we use the patients to conduct bioavailability studies. So among the healthy and patient, you need to consider patient to conduct the bioavailability studies, because obviously for that patient, because he is having that disease and you are conducting the same bioavailability studies for the drug which he need to take for the treatment of that disease, particular disease. So if you conduct the study in patients, it will be advantageous. What is that? The patient will be benefited from the study. First advantage is the patient will be benefited. 2, reflects better therapeutic efficacy of the drug, because there the disease is there in the patient. So the therapeutic efficacy you can try to check that. So it reflects the better therapeutic efficacy. Next, because by using the patient, that particular drug, you can see what is the therapeutic efficacy also. That's what the second point is saying. Third point, drug absorption pattern in disease state can be evaluated. If at all there is a problem in absorption in the disease state, okay, and if at all the pattern is changing in the drug absorption due to the presence of the disease, that can be evaluated if you take patient in the bioavailability study. Next is avoids the ethical quandary of administering drug to the healthy subject. Obviously, if you are administering the drug to the healthy patient, there will be ethical issues. To avoid this ethical issue, if you take patient directly, it will avoid the ethical point of your what is that ethical quandary of which will arise, ethical issue which will arise due to the considerations of healthy subjects. So don't use healthy subjects. You can avoid this by using patient. What you can avoid, that ethical problems. So patients are generally, we will see what is the thing we need to study in the these considerations of human volunteers. So patients, we know that take patient than human healthy person, take patient. Now second is patients are generally preferred in multiple dose bioavailability studies. So in multiple dose bioavailability studies, you prefer only patients because it is an added advantage to him. Then the drawback of using patients as volunteers are equally large disease, other drugs, physiological changes, etc. may modify the drug absorption pattern. So what is the drawback of using patient? Drawback is disease condition, then other drugs he is taking. See, he is not taking only one drug which you are giving during the what is that conduction of bioavailability. He may be, because he is a patient, he may be taking other drugs also. So this other drug, this is condition will affect your bioavailability study. The other drug which he is taking, that also affects your bioavailability study, and also that physiological changes may modify your drug absorption pattern. So that is the disadvantage of taking the patient in the bioavailability studies. Next, stringent study conditions such as fasting state required to be followed by subject is also difficult. See, to conduct this bioavailability studies, multiple dose, you need to have the fasting state in a person. But because that already you are taking a patient, and if you make him to fast, again it will cause a problem. So that was another difficulty. Second one, in short, the establishing a standard set of conditions necessary for bioavailability study is difficult with patient volunteers. So with patient volunteers, what is the problem he is saying? In short, in patient volunteers, establishing the standard set which is required, like he should be, the blood should be withdrawn at this time, he should come to the steady place at this time, he should be kept fasting till this time. So these are the set of standard conditions which we need to be followed while conducting the bioavailability multiple dose studies. So by taking patient, these are the problems which are arising due to first set of standard conditions. Okay. Such studies are therefore usually performed in young volunteers 20 to 40 years. Remember, so multiple dose bioavailability studies are performing young 20 to 40 years healthy male adult volunteers with a body weight within the narrow range 10 plus. So if say body weight is 72%, so plus or minus 10 narrow range they will be considering. So taking patient is good, but because there are so many problems if you take directly patients, so this type of studies are generally conducted on healthy volunteers, that to male, that to 20 to 40 year age group, and with a body weight within the narrow of plus or minus 10 under strict dietary and fixed activity conditions. So maintaining all these standard things. What is the standard things? Strict dietary, fixed activity condition is difficult because it is difficult in patient. So you are considering healthy human volunteers. Then we have female volunteers are used only when, you can ask me, sir, why you are talking about male volunteers only? So there will be use of female volunteers also. When the drug is intended to be used for the female only, then you need to go for the female volunteers, such as oral contraceptives. If you want to test the bioavailability of oral contraceptive, then you need to take, obviously you need to take a female volunteer, you can't take that male volunteer here. Then the number of subjects to be tested, to be selected, depends upon extent of inter-subject variability, but should be kept to a minimum required to obtain reliable data. So how many number I can take? So how many subjects I can take? It's dependent on the variability. If there is less variability, less subjects are required. If there is more variability, more subjects are required. So overall, you try to keep minimum, minimum subjects as possible. Then we have the consent of volunteers must be obtained. Yeah, the consent of volunteers must be obtained and they must be informed about the importance of the study, conditions to be followed during the study, and possible hazards any prior to the starting the study. Obviously, you can't directly take the patient without informing him anything about the study. So you need to inform. Consent of the patient should be taken as a signature in that paper. Everything will be written. Okay, in that sheet everything will be, what are the hazards, what are the importance, what all you are going to do in the study. You need to give there, or you need to explain him, and you need to take his consent. Then medical examination should be performed in order to exclude the subjects. Obviously, before taking the subjects, you need to perform the medical examination to check whether any ailment is there. Some disease will be there, patients will be not knowing. For that, you need to check the medical examination so that you can exclude them. This is the exclusion criteria. Okay. Then the volunteers must be instructed to abstain from any medication for at least a week and to fast overnight prior to and for minimum of 4 hours after taking the dose. So what you have to do then? So you need to instruct the volunteers. What we need to instruct the volunteers to abstain from any medication. Don't take any, instruct them, don't take any medication for a week, and also he should be fasting overnight before the study, and also after taking the drug 4 hours after taking the drug. Okay, dose 4 hours after taking the dose. You need to inform this also to him, otherwise it will cause a problem in bioavailability study. Then we have the volume and the type of fluid and the standard diet to be kept must be also be specified. So what is the type of food you need to give to him? You can't say that after 4 hours of giving the tablet, you can't say him that okay, go and eat and come whatever you want. No, there will be a standard food which he need to take. Okay, you need to instruct him to take that food only. So during washout period, for minimum of 10 biological half-life must be allowed. What is in the washout period is, now let's say I have taken one drug now today. So there will be chance that this drug, the traces of drug will present in my body tomorrow also, day after tomorrow also, like this. So washout period means what is the time taken for the drug to completely removed from the body, or else if not completely removal, or else if at all it is present, it should not be get detected by the sensitive instrument which we have, analytical instrument. If it is not getting detected in the analytical instrument which we have, it means it is not there. Simple thing. So that what the time taken for this thing to attain the non-detection thing by the drug, we call it as a washout period. So to make that washout period, you should wait at least for 10 biological half-lives. Remember GPAT question. So to attain the washout period, how many biological half-lives you need to wait? That is 10. 10 biological half-life. Wait for 10 biological half-life. What do you mean by this? Let's say the half-life of the drug. Biological half-life means what is the half-life of the drug in the plasma. Okay, that is called biological half-life. We have two half-lives. Stability half-life is there. If you keep the drug outside, what is the time taken for the drug to reach to is half of the concentration. That is outside the body. That is for stability. So biological half-life in the sense within the body, what is the time taken for the drug to reach half of its initial concentration? We call it as biological half-life. Okay, so you need to wait till 10 biological half-life. For example, if the drug half-life is 6 hours, biological half-life 6 hours, then you need to wait for 60 hours till the washout period. Must be allowed between two studies in the same subject. See, if I am conducting one study in the subject, So first I am conducting one tablet study, okay, bioavailability study. If I want to go for change for second bioavailability study, you should wait for 10 biological half-lives, that is washout period. After washout period only you can go for the second second bioavailability studies. Remember this. So this washout period is between two bioavailability studies. If you are conducting one study now, wait after conducting the study, after getting the results, wait for 10 biological half-lives of the drug, then go for conducting the second study. Don't go for the second study before the washout period, okay, that's what you need to remember. So till here what we saw is what are the considerations regarding the study design of the bioavailability, that is related to patient. So related to patient to whom you need to take healthy person or patient. If at all if you are taking patient, what are the problems? Hence those, to avoid those problems, we are taking healthy persons. What is the age group? What is the weight? What is the gender? So all these things you need to consider, okay, while going for the study design of bioavailability, in particular related to the human volunteers. I hope you understand.